dome was opened, the lid opened, and then it flushed out all of the abominations, washed them out. All the unrighteousness was cleansed because it was all an abomination to Yahuwah's sight. So these holy living creatures were created, and many, many orders of angels, celestials, and the ministers of fire came out. And Ezekiel saw the cherub that was a wheel, basically, and then another wheel sticking out, spinning concurrently. And they'd go sideways and move. Out of these wheels came a lot of, I guess, could be terrifying to a human if they've never seen that before. But what they did is they just move in their appointed heavenly circuits, as they're supposed to. And Enoch describes these, and stars being intelligences, and planets not what we're told. So some of the cherubs looked like they had hundreds of flaming eyes rushing in the sky to and fro. And, that power trumps any Eye of Sauron, Michael Sarian, Eye of Horus, soul viewing implants, the what they call stone eggs, things like that. It just trumps that power that came from heaven. So nothing compares to the majesty, glory, and power of Yahuwah. And Hashem gave that gift of Pentecost and tongues of fire. And this fire is holy fire, angelic fire, purifying fire. It's likened to being put through the refiner's fire and shedding that dross, which solidifies our constitution in a flame of renewal. So that fire is also poured out from the altar of heaven and seen in the temple time period and brought to earth, standing Archangel Michael with fire and the rainbow coming off of his feet in the Revelations. So there's a lot that has to do with fire and with the heavenly realms, the burning bush, many other instances like that. It's a consecrating fire. It's an all-consuming fire. But the Nakash, with their fire gourds that invaded the Garden of Eden, where our first parents laid, they gave man the Promethean fire that didn't have this element of holy fire to it. So these guys were like the silver shining serpents that were bipedal and walked and talked and shape-shifted before Adam and Eve, and then they wanted to be worshipped by them. So this started the serpent priesthood, and then after that, the first skull and bones and vampiric entrance into this world. So they gave man strange fire, and Hashem kills 2 humans for offering him the strange fire on the altar, his altar. So what these beings do is they copy heavenly things so that they can live in the shadows of true heavenly things and instead create hellish things. Holy fire has a transformative alchemical properties, and it makes you a new creation, literally destroying the outer man and sin so that you can live in the spirit. It doesn't burn, but this occultic fire does, and it's that fire that the Black Projects had us harnessing and using to destroy, not to purify. So, because they were phoenixes in heaven, and so they inverted this into a destroying entity symbol to birth their own creation. And instead of not letting, just letting God's holy fire come in and make us new, a new creation, which is the way it is supposed to be. It's not forced, it's a choice of free will. So, holy fire seals, protects, heals, and purifies, cleanses, and consecrates with sanctifying properties. Occultic fire, serpent fire, hurts the soul, harms the mind, because they go after your mind first. Now, the antediluvians' genealogy is right there in the Bible. The Enochs, the beings that were tall as cedars, that they warred with and that Joshua wiped out. The tales, some of it's describing like dinosaur tales almost. This is where Anakin Skywalker comes from. George Lucas was a Freemason. The Anunnaki are not creator gods by any means. And dinosaurs, I don't believe, ever entered the ark because they were a reptilian bird chimera created by them. So all of these things are buried, and the history of the trees being cut down, the ancient trees that every nation lived under in the shelter, because everything was very, very large at the beginning and then shrunk down because we're degressing. Nobody's evolving to anything. So you can see the imprints of so many things that are buried in history. And you can see it in astrocartography, the stones crying out, which is fulfilling prophecy, because you can't cover up what keeps speaking from the dead in archaeology. In the tablets, stones, whatever it is, the shifting, we weren't just brought to the Arctic as kids. It was much more than that. The first part of it was easy, but then we got into this black pyramid in the Nazi Abodova base in Alaska, and there was like a black rectangular watches in the sky that was guarding it, and they could basically